Hello again, guys. Welcome back once again to another round of racing. This being round 5 from the Midnight Oil Racing League. No, round 6 even from the Midnight Oil Racing League's GT7 Championship. So we're into the final 4 rounds, I believe, now this week at Mount Panorama. We've got two 25-minute races for you. We'll have a quick rundown through the standings coming into this race. So we have got a change at the top now. Thomas now leading the way with 198 points. Too fast, that's Gwinnell. Wayne G in second place with 176. Eyes Chand only 3 points behind Wayne G with 173. Mawson now down to fourth place with 168 points. Dan Bailey currently fifth with 142. We've got Chuck in sixth with 138. Silent is in seventh with 128. We've got Blood Diamond in eighth with 111. Vexed is in ninth with 86. Only 1 point behind him is Asbo in 10th with 85. We've got Jerry Smiles in 11th with 72 points, and Clutch only picking up 69 points so far. Danny Jones still only on 5, and Dirty Dub still yet to make an appearance. And we have 2 vacancies, so if anyone wants to get involved, do join the Discord. Obviously, we are running it on UK times. It is Sunday, 10 to 8 is when qualifying begins, but lobby normally opens from around 7 p.m. So without further ado, shall we get into this first race of the evening? As I say, two 25-minute races here around Baaaathhurst at Mount Panorama. We'll get the klaxon lined up and we'll get straight into this first race. So I wonder if Thomas is going to get a good getaway. That Ferrari seems to be notoriously bad off the line. And is Jason going to be able to make a getaway, not lose any positions off the start? I think Gwinnell is going to be fast off the start. We've seen how quick that Citroen that Vex is driving is off the start. The Porsche, driven by Pickle, who's lining up next to Vex, not very good at all off the start. So yeah, I think a few people are going to be a little bit bogged down, but we'll get straight into it. Here we go. The klaxon sounds and they are off. So we have got Gwinnell looking for a move around the outside of Thomas there into turn 1. He's going to move up into second place. Blood Diamond retains the lead through the first turn. Ice Chand managing to get past Thomas now. I think as we look back as well, yeah, Vex trying to challenge Thomas for that fourth place. Is he going to be able to get past him? I'm not too sure. He might have to slot back in under the back wing of that Ferrari just to pick up the slipstream. We've got Dan Bailey trying to get up in the mix there as well. Dan Bailey bearing down on the back of the 2 cars ahead. The Ferrari and the Citroen VGT, or the GT by Citroen. Have we got any more moves being made off the start? So we've got Blood Diamond there in first place still. Wayne G retains second for the minute. Eyes Chand up to third. We've got Thomas down to fourth. Vexed is there in fifth. We've got Dan Bailey in sixth. Mawson not far behind in seventh. Pickle down to eighth. We've got Asbo in ninth, and actually all over the back of Pickle at the moment in the Z4. That Z4 does look rapid around the mountain. What can he do here? I fancy that Asbo is going to struggle with tyre wear again. That seems to be the one thing that's hampered that Z4 this season. Such a nippy little car. But the tyres just seem to die a bit of a death. Ooh, getting a little bit squirrely through Skyline. On the downhill now, on the approach to Forest Elbow. And he has lost a few temps to the car ahead, which is Pickle. Actually grazing the inside barrier there, it looked like. But free to continue his chase, not hampered at the moment, or not being pressured by Jerry Smiles, currently in 10th. Couple of seconds back, and then Clutch keeping him company in 11th. So Blood Diamond on the mediums and now has started to stretch his legs a bit. He's got a good couple of seconds over position 2 and 3. And that is Wayne G in the Dodge Viper. And Thomas has managed to get past Ice Chand. So Thomas moving up a position, managed to get past Ice Chand through the chase. And yeah, free to continue his battle. So we have Ice Chand now in fourth, dropping a position. Vex still there in fifth. We've got Dan Bailey and Mawson. Dan Bailey and Mawson now in a bit of a battle. Dan Bailey showing Mawson the long way round. He's going to be on the outside for turn 2. Actually just edging ahead before the braking zone. Is Dan Bailey going to keep his boot in though? Brake a little bit later. And actually no, Mawson does get the move done around the outside. Can he get onto the back of Vexed ahead? Still with Dan Bailey for company. He's going to be able to drive a bit of a defensive race at the moment, is Mawson. And actually losing the position once again to Dan Bailey. Had a bit of a moment there through that sharp left-hander. Almost a hairpin. And actually coming under the attention of Pickle now as well. Pickle there in 8th place, has closed right up to the Supra. He might have a bit of a two-way battle on his hands soon. Surely not looking for a move into Skyline. No, he thought better of it. He was bearing down on the AMG of Dan Bailey, but it wasn't to be on that lap. So these 5 cars have actually closed right up to each other now. We've got Dan Bailey, Mawson, Pickle, Asbo, Jerry Smiles, and then Clutch having a bit of a lonely race now. He's lost the toe from Jerry, so he's going to have to try hard to get back under the rear wing of that Hyundai. And what's happened to Blood Diamond? That gap that he had built has come to an end. It has ceased to exist. He had a good couple of seconds over cars 2 and 3, Wayne G and Thomas, and actually Chand has caught back up again, and Wayne G in the background there having a bit of a moment. Will that allow Thomas the opportunity to go for a move, maybe into turn 1? I think it was 11 laps in this race. I think most people going for a 7-5 strategy. So 7 laps on the mediums and then on to the softs to the end. Not as bad tyre wear here than it was last week at Yamagiwa Miyabi. Wayne G doing a really good job still of defending to Thomas. Thomas, who does look very quick in that Ferrari, looking to try and get a move done. But it does become a bit of a procession through the ascent. The next real overtaking opportunity will be out of Forest Elbow onto the Conrod Straight. It looked like Wayne G was opening up the door on the inside there when he approached the Skyline, but as I say, not really a place you want to be trying to go for a move. And in fact, that gap, as quick as it opened up, closed up again. So we go through Forest Elbow now, onto the back straight. Actually grazing the barrier ever so slightly there. That definitely cost Thomas a tenth or 2. He's not going to have the run that he wanted now. And in fact, Wayne G may start to pick up the slip off of Blood Diamond ahead once again. Thomas currently with the fastest lap, 2:06.118. Not having to worry about playing a defensive game at the moment. Definitely well aware of Ice Chand in his wheel tracks, but not close enough to be able to go for a move. He's a car or 2 back, car length or 2. So Ice Chand still being kept honest by Vexed at the moment. Can he increase that gap and break the toe? I think he may have just managed to break the toe as we speak. But I think also this was one where I had to do quite a bit of fuel saving in the first stint. For remember, the second stint was pretty much flat out, but the first stint definitely having to do a bit of fuel saving to make it to the pit stop and make the tyres go the distance. Still unable to make any headway. Dan Bailey, that gap back to Dan Bailey has opened up. I thought Dan was on hards, but actually grazing the barrier there as well. That's going to cost him a little bit. Actually with a bit of breathing space though over Mawson back in 7th. Asbo managing to find his way past Pickle, and in fact Jerry Smiles looking like he drove into the rear of Pickle there, coming down the hill. maybe giving Pickle a bit of a boost because he started catching up to Asbo once again. Can Asbo get into the wheel tracks and Mawson ahead? That will aid him greatly down the back straight if he can. So actually choosing to run the softs in the first stint. It's a bold strategy, but sometimes you've got to try these things. Obviously it's going to be the higher fuel load, so maybe it would have been better to go for mediums than run softs at the end when you've got less fuel in the car, but Asbo probably feels like the car's a bit more stable this way, and actually gets the move done on Mawson around the outside there. Mawson, I think Mawson might have had to just serve a penalty. Thomas is now into the pits. So that has released Ice Chan up into third place. We have Vexed now up into fourth. Dan Bailey's up to fifth. Asbo currently running in sixth. It looked like Mawson was just dead coming down towards the back turn there, towards the final turn. As I say, I think he may have had to serve a penalty, probably getting half a second, full track limit somewhere. Or maybe even just having a moment, and that gave Asbo the opportunity to manage to get past. Can he get onto the back of Dan Bailey now? Dan Bailey, who's having a bit of a lonely race at the moment, trying to reel Vex back in, but also under no threat from the cars behind at the moment. We saw he made that slight little error coming through this next sector. Let's see if he does it again. No, he gets it right that time. Nicely through them two left-handers. Asbo now looking like he's starting to come under some pressure from Mawson. Mawson has got that super back up to speed after serving this penalty or having a bit of a moment. Are we going to see him try and send the move into, no, not into Forest Elbow, maybe on the approach to the chase at the end of the Conrod, straight into the hard braking zone for the final chicane on this track. And it does look like Mawson's gaining. Is he going to go for the move? No, he's not quite close enough that time round. Thinks better of it. That is intelligent racing there from Mawson. Oh no, Asbo! Asbo! Oh, Asbo just collected a little bit too much of the apex there. Collected a bit of the grass on the way as well. And he's going to lose two positions because of it. That is so unlucky, Asbo. Can he manage to retake them positions once again? Obviously, with them very worn, soft tyres now, he's going to have his work out for him. But as I say, that Z4 is a bit of a force to be reckoned with at the moment. So Pickle in the Porsche. Lap 5 was a 2:07, but lap 4 was a 2:13. What happened, Pickle? Pickle must have had a moment somewhere. So Thomas now out on fresh mediums. He ran the softs in the first stint, went for a very early pit stop. And look at the gap to the rest of the field. They're already on the ascent up the mountain. He's only just coming up to turn 2 now, so yeah, also got his work out for him. But everyone ahead still yet to pit. Clutch still free to chase the cars ahead. Needs to try and close the gap. I think Mount Panorama, not one of his most confident circuits. I think still getting to grips with it. So Blood Diamond still with the fastest lap, 2:05.502. Wayne G still there in second place. Ice Chand is third. We have Vexed in fourth. Dan Bailey there in fifth place. Mawson is up to sixth, and Asbo has managed to get back past Jerry Smiles. Up to seventh once again. Jerry also opting to run the softs in the first stint. That Hyundai again, not too bad a car, but does suffer with tyre wear, adverse tyre wear. And I think that has been hampering Jerry this season so far. Still had some good results. and actually opting to peel into the pits now, follows Asbo in. So both of the guys on the softs now into the pits. So Pickle will move up into 7th place. We're going to have Thomas move through, pretty sure, up into 8th. There we go. So Clutch, oh, Clutch actually opted to go into the pits now. I'm not sure that was the right call there for Clutch. He definitely still had enough fuel in that car to go for a few more laps. Perhaps he just felt like the mediums weren't doing him any justice at that stage in the race. Only lap 7. Just about just over halfway through this 25-minute race. A Blood Diamond has taken the fastest lap back with a 2:05.502. I know he's still got the fastest lap. We touched on that before. But still with a handsome gap back to Wayne G. Can he convert this lead into a win? We'll have to wait and see. Surely these guys are going to be coming up to their first pit stop of the evening. Vex definitely is. He's been using way more fuel than the cars ahead in an effort to try and catch them once again and stay ahead of Dan Bailey. But I can tell you, I have definitely been hampered this season with the fuel. Just not able to get the most out of the Citroen. As I say, the final stint, you can normally open it up and use full power. Still not doing too shabby, only dropping down to 6th for now due to the guys that are still yet to pit. So we have Wayne G now, your new race leader, putting in a purple sector there. So I think Wayne G is starting to push on his in lap. And knows he's got enough fuel to make it back to the pit, so he is free to push. Ice Chand. I think Ice Chand will be starting to push now as well. Trying to close that gap down as much as he can before heading into the pits. Dan Bailey. Is Dan Bailey going to have enough fuel? I'm not sure he's going to have enough fuel to make it back to the pits. He is under the attention of Mawson. Is he having to fuel save? So yeah, he is. Yeah, he is upshifting fairly early, almost just over halfway through the rev range. Currently sat in 3rd, challenged a little bit by Mawson as he comes down the straight for the 8th time in this race. Has to be running on fumes now. I don't think that's it. I think he's out of fuel. Dan Bailey, mistakes were made. Mawson moves through up into 3rd place. I think Dan Bailey should have gone in the same lap that Vex did, so Mawson will go into the pits now. Dan Bailey's going to have to creep his way back into the pits. Wayne G and Ice Chan are both in as well. Oh, look at that! Pickles now getting held up by the listing car of Dan Bailey as he limps it back to his pit box. So Blood Diamond, will he become new race leader once again, or will he become race leader once again? He went for the undercut, he's now on the softs. Moves into 1st place momentarily, but the guys have finished filling up, and there they are, they're coming out ahead. Wayne G manages to keep the lead of the race. Blood Diamond now going to be under the rear wing of Ice Chand in that GTR. Chand is going to make that GTR as wide as he possibly can. He's showing Jason the long way round. hugging that inside line on the approach to turn 2. Can Jason get it around the outside or get the switch back here? No, he can't on that occasion. And then we have Thomas. Thomas also not far behind in 4th place there. Only a few temps in it. Oh, Jason. I thought he was going to convert this into a race win, but he's now got to try and find his way past Ice and Wayne G, who are on a lap younger set of tyres. Should we actually have a quick look what tyres they are on? So yeah, I think everybody's probably going to be running the soft compound now, apart from the guys that we saw run the softs at the start. So Wayne G, still race leader. Ice Chand, still in 2nd place, also on the soft compound. Blood Diamond on a couple of a lap or 2 older softs in 3rd. Thomas on the mediums. We saw Thomas run the softs early doors, actually taking the fastest lap now at 2:05.233. But has he got enough grip left in the mediums to be able to find his way past the guys on the younger sets of softs ahead? So we'll have a look what everyone else is doing. So Molson's managed to get past Vexed. Vex back up into 6th. Vex looks for a move up the inside into the final turn. Thinks better of it on that occasion. Opts to duck back under the wing of that Toyota Supra driven by Molson. Will he be able to go for a move into turn 1? He's not close enough. Not just yet. Maybe we'll see it at the end of the top straight here into turn 2. And there we go. Vex did get the better run. He's going to have the inside line. Is Molson going to be able to keep it around the outside? Plenty of space given. And in fact, Vex does move back up into 5th place. So this might be one of the closest battles on track at the moment, but we will check back in with everybody else. But I think we do get another position change come soon. I think Backstab at the moment. Closing back up to the bumper of the Citroen once again through Forest Elbow. Definitely will be picking up the slipstream on the approach to the chase. And does indeed close right up to the rear bumper of the Citroen in the braking zone. Absolute tiny margins in that. That was a great bit of braking there from Molson. Could have quite easily run into the back of Vex, but he had it totally worked out. So here we go. Are we going to see Molson look for a move into turn 2, or is he going to have to follow and maybe look for a move out of Forest Elbow? Keeps the pressure on. We're on the ascent now into the mountain. And Vex driving a really good defensive race at the moment, not giving Molson any opportunity to be able to slot that Supra past. really putting the pressure on now as Mawson. It's going to be a little bit dicey coming into Skyline. Not quite enough room to get 2 cars through there. Sensibly sits back in the wheel tracks. Staying as close as he possibly can on the descent. He's going to have to better run now out of Forest Elbow. Surely we'll see a move come down into the chase. 23 minutes into this race. Yeah, so the gaps at the front staying fairly even. As I say, I think this one of the closest battles on track at the moment. We'll have to have a look at Asbo and Jerry in just a second as well. As Vex actually went a little bit deep there. May have given Mawson the opportunity. But in fact, not actually losing too much time. Mawson weaving left and right, trying to find a way past the Citroen, just cannot seem to get past at the moment. Has to try and keep the pressure on, maybe force Vex into an error. Vex is going to hug that inside line on the approach to 2, moves over to take the racing line. Oh no, there we go. Vex just lights up the rear tyre slightly, which gave Mawson the opportunity he needed to be able to get past. This might turn into the final lap as well, being lap 12 now. We'll have to check in with everyone else. So Jerry has got a bit of a gap over Asbo. Asbo and Dan Bailey, though, having a bit of a battle there. Can Dan Bailey find his way past the Z4, driven by Asbo? And it is indeed the final lap. Oh, there we go. He does manage to get past. There was a tiny bit of contact. Dan Bailey up into 8th place now. So we have to go back to the front as they come through the chase for the final time. And Wayne G actually managing to steal the fastest lap back at the end there on lap 10 at 2:04.269. 4-2 fast. He rounds the final turn now. Ice Chand was trying to gain on him towards the end there, but he's going to have to settle for 2nd place. Winnie G takes the checkered flag and the win in the first race. Ice Chand 2nd. Blood Diamond, that was unlucky. Blood finishes 3rd in the end. Thomas will finish in 4th place. We have got Mawson now. Mawson managing to get past Vex at the end there. Just kept the pressure on, nothing the Vex could do. He finishes 5th, Vex finishes in 6th. Jerry will finish in 7th. Dan Bailey and Asbo still having a battle here. Asbo looked like he may have been close enough through the final turn to go for a move, but wasn't to be. Can he get it done on the approach now to the start finish? No, not on this occasion. Dan Bailey will take 8th, Asbo takes 9th, Pickle will take 10th, and Clutch will take 11th. Well, that was the first race of the evening, guys. We'll be back with the second race shortly. I've been your boy Vexed. I will see you there. Good night.